What is up everyone, and welcome to some more F1 23 My Team Career Mode. We're here for round number 15 of Season 5 of our Jaguar Racing career, and we are really getting into the business end of this career mode now, and we currently sit 41 points ahead of Lando Norris in the Drivers' Championship after what can only be described as a very strong run of form for myself. You can see it yourself here. From the Monaco Grand Prix all the way to the Belgian Grand Prix, we haven't finished lower than 4th, which is really, really good. We've had 5 wins in the last 8 races, which is a run of form that's even better than I could have imagined, quite frankly. And I can't wait to hopefully close this season out on a high with some more strong performances. However, we are getting into a difficult part of the calendar for myself, although I did say this last race before I went on to win it, of course. Belgium, Zandvoort, Monza, it's not typically the easiest part of the calendar for me. I tend to struggle with this one quite a lot, so I am anticipating that Zandvoort could be a little bit of a struggle for myself. But we will see how it goes as we get ready. They got mad at me here because I forgot to do activities after the season break, because of course there is the mid-season break between the Belgian Grand Prix and the Dutch Grand Prix. But yeah, we've scheduled a few at least. There's an opportunity to improve Jack Doohan's focus, which I'm hoping will potentially mean that he is able to finally get that first podium that I've been hoping that he'd be able to get for a very long time at this point. Jack Doohan struggling quite a bit this season, to be fair. You know, I signed him as a teammate after he was on a red-hot run of form at McLaren, and I thought to myself, yeah, this guy's going to be great for us. And unfortunately, it's just never quite materialized the way I would have hoped it could. I guess maybe it's because the field is quite closely packed together. And, well, one thing that you are about to see when I get into the messages here is that there is guaranteed a regulation change affecting multiple departments next year. So that, for me, means that we actually may keep Jack Doohan after all. And I know what you're thinking. Well, but he's had a really terrible run of form this season. Why would you think about keeping him? And my answer is, if there's less cars that are competitive towards the start of the season, then I think Jack Doohan could potentially get on a strong run at the beginning of the season and, you know, maybe help us contend for a championship. And I don't like chopping and changing teammates all the time every season. You know, I did it on last year's game. We went through so many different teammates. And in the end, the winning formula was when I retained Albon for a second season. And, you know, we absolutely dominated the championship that season. But, yeah, we will see whether Jack Doohan's end-of-season form warrants him getting a contract renewal or not. Meanwhile, in practice, we had decent pace, but it was a bit of a strange session. It was one of those weird kind of almost wet, but you're still on dry tyres kind of situations. And so I did go fastest in the end, but I don't know if that's necessarily representative of the pace that we will show in qualifying and in the race, which, as far as I understand, are going to remain dry. But we will see whether that is truly the case or not. And here we go. We're going to get ready to get into qualifying now. The target here, I think, just has to be Q3. We just want to score good, consistent points in the next couple of races. That's all I can really hope for, to make sure that Lando Norris doesn't pull ahead in the championship. As long as we can stay ahead of him out of the next 2 races, then we will be laughing by the time that we get to Japan, which is the race that I'm looking forward to the most on this year's calendar, by a country mile, quite frankly, because it is, you know, just a track I love so much. Our first flying lap here was pretty decent. It was good enough to put us P10 by the end of the session, and unfortunately we actually didn't improve on our second run. I had a pretty poor run. It was a 1:08.2. And yeah, we're definitely going to need to do a faster time than that in Q3 if we want, or sorry, Q2 if we want any chance of making it through to Q3. So both myself and Doohan make it through as Sergio Perez goes fastest in the Red Bull. Meanwhile, hometown hero Max Verstappen, he's nowhere to be seen. Has he made it out of Q1? That would be quite a shock result if Max Verstappen was eliminated. There he is. There he is in P15. No real shocks, actually, eliminated in qualifying for a change. It is both Haas's, both Alfa Romeos, and both Alfa Tauris, which, you know, usually you see a bit more variation, a bit more surprise in who's knocked out in Q1 these days. Usually there's at least one shock outcome, but this time no real shock exits in Q1. But we'll see whether that holds true for Q2 or not, as we get held up quite a lot by Lando Norris on our first flying lap. But fortunately, it was only a banker on a used set of soft compound tyres, And so I am optimistic that we'll be able to improve quite a lot from this 108.4 that we've kicked the session off with, which that's really not very good. So yeah, we will need quite a lot of improvement, probably at least a second, I would say, if we want any chance of making it through into Q3. But we will see now as we come through the final corners. This is where we were held up by Lando Norris most significantly, and you can see we are improving by around a second, so hopefully this will be good enough. You can see as we go through the DRS zone now into the final corner, we are improving by just over a second, but will this be good enough? We've crossed the line. It's a 107.4, and it was good enough to put us P11. We are out. We're out in Q2 for the first time in a while, if I'm not mistaken. And well, this is devastating actually, because it means that we are going to have to try and work our way through from outside of the points to hopefully get in the points by the end of the race tomorrow. But yeah, Doohan making it through. Props to him at least. And then Verstappen, the hometown hero, knocked out this time in qualifying. He joins Lawson, Ocon, Fittipaldi, and Gasly, both Williams, both Alpines. And then yeah, it is Hauger out qualifying his teammate at his home race as well. So we will see if we can work our way back into the points as we get into the Dutch Grand Prix.
For years, the people of Zandvoort fondly recalled the Grand Prix they used to hold, and then came along Max Verstappen. Across Europe, the Orange Army sold seats and seats and seats, and now they have their own Grand Prix. It is time for race day in the Netherlands. 4 lefts and 10 rights make up the 14 corners of the narrow and demanding Zandvoort circuit, with plenty of peaks and valleys over the course of the 2.6-mile lap, which will demand absolute concentration from our drivers here today. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. Alex Albon will lead us away from pole position, and Lando Norris lines up alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Sainz, Doohan, Leclerc, Oscar Piastri, Hauger, Russell, Perez, Magnussen, Robinson, Verstappen, Liam Lawson, Ocon, Fittipaldi, Gasly, Tsunoda, Sargent, Hulkenberg, Joe, Stroll, and Nick de Vries. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Nothing for Alex Jakes to say on this occasion. It is, of course, the Mercedes starting on pole position once again, and we will see whether it's going to be a victory for those guys or not. Lando Norris has just had such a strong season. Apart from the last race or two where things have really kind of unraveled for him, you know, he will be hoping to kind of get back into the fight a little bit here today. I'm going to go on a bit of a strange strategy. It's going to be a soft hard, which, you know, most of the time you don't usually tend to see. But yeah, that's the strategy I'm opting for here, and we will see whether it pays dividends for us or not. I imagine most people will either be doing soft medium or medium hard, but I want that initial pace of the softs, but I think they're going to go off quite quickly, so then I think we're going to have to switch over to the hards to get us to the end of the race. We're going to go for a hefty undercut. I imagine most people will be pitting between lap 15 and 18, so we will see whether this undercut works out for us or not. But yeah, starting from P11, it's going to be a difficult opportunity for us to try and get into ideally sort of the top 5 or something like that. Man, the Mercedes have got a front row lockout in this qualifying, so our constructors' hopes are definitely going to take a knock in this race, I reckon. Jack Doohan did manage to get himself into 4th, but it's going to be pretty tricky for him to challenge both Mercedes for the win, especially when he hasn't had a podium all season. But we will see what both I and he can do as the lights come on and the lights go out, and we've had a good getaway compared to Kevin Magnussen there, and we are already up into the points paying positions. We're going to try and go up the inside of Perez now, but Max Verstappen, he's not waiting around. He's already overtaken myself, his former teammate Perez, his current teammate Hauger, his other former teammate Carlos Sainz, and he is up into P7 already, and he's going to try and hold it around the outside of Carlos Sainz if he can. Who's going to win out in this battle? Meanwhile, we've got ahead of Perez and Hauger as well, and we're up into P9. Can Max Verstappen hold on to this P7, or is it going to be Carlos Sainz taking it away from him? He dives up the inside. Max Verstappen, what a lightning start. He wanted to put on a show at his home Grand Prix, and he's done exactly that to kick things off. And yeah, we've also quietly moved up a few positions ahead of 3 drivers, but of course we did lose out to Max Verstappen as well. What a start that man had. That was absolutely unbelievable. I didn't even notice that when I was initially doing this. I've kind of just only clocked that he had as cracked a start as that now. So yeah, take a bow. The hometown hero, Max Verstappen. Meanwhile, the other hometown hero is probably somewhere down in about P21, if I had to guess. So we won't talk about that. Anyway, yeah. Lap 1 comes to an end now, and we are running in P9. However, Dennis Hauger is putting a lot of pressure on us up the inside. He's going to try and join his teammate in as high a position as he can find himself. But we're going to try and hold it off around the outside of our former teammate, Dennis Hauger, and we've done exactly that. And we've held on to P9 for the time being as we make our way through. On to lap 2 now. It's been a decent start, but hopefully we can start making our way forward. Unfortunately, as we find ourselves on lap 3, you can see that yeah, we've kind of fallen out of DRS of the cars in front, and Dennis Hauger with the DRS is putting more moves on us down into turn 1. He hasn't managed to make the overtake on this occasion, but Dennis Hauger, he is you know, he's no slouch in that Aston Martin. He had a rough time of things when he was racing for our team, but as he overtakes me now and gets a long way ahead, as I think Sergio Perez is going to go on the attack here as well. Yeah, he had a tough time when he was racing for Jaguar, Dennis Hauger did, but now that he's in a car which feasibly probably does have the opportunity to you know, contend for podiums and wins. Hauger, of course, has been on the podium a few times and has been a pretty solid feature in that Aston Martin. I had a pretty rough run through the first couple of corners because we were going at it tooth and nail with Sergio Perez, and he held us up quite a lot. He's going to try and put the moves on us onto lap 6, but he can't quite do it on this occasion either. But I wouldn't be surprised if Sergio Perez makes this overtake sooner rather than later, and we might be falling out of the points once again. It's one of those races, unfortunately, for those of you who enjoy watching me make overtakes. You're not going to see too many of those today, I don't think, because I just don't seem to have the pace to contend with the cars around me. Seems like they're just a bit faster throughout the course of the lap and then overtake me in that DRS zone. Liam Lawson is putting some pressure on me behind. What a season that guy's having, by the way. 2 podiums to his name and a handful of other points finishes throughout the season. He's dragged Williams ahead of Alpine in the championship, which is you know, pretty impressive given the level of performance that you would expect from Williams and have seen from Williams, in fact, in years gone by. It just goes to show that as soon as you put those guys in a decent car, they will get points. Fittipaldi as well, you know, he's been in that team for years at this point, I think since season 2 if I'm not mistaken, and he's finally starting to come good there as well. Kevin Magnussen going for an overtake on me as well, and this race is just going from bad to worse at the moment, quite frankly. We're getting passed by all of our former teammates. Liam Lawson, of course, not one of our former teammates, but you know, still someone who I was thinking about signing to my team on a few different occasions, ended up opting against it, and now he's overtaking me in what I would consider to be inferior machinery. So just goes to show you never know what the future holds for all of these teams. You know, at one point Haas was a front-running car in this career mode all the way back in season 2, and yeah, well, we are coming under pressure now from Pierre Gasly. We've managed to hold him off for the time being in that Alpine. I was battling with these guys for podium positions in the last race, and now we're battling over P13 as Pierre Gasly goes up the inside, and I don't think he's going to make the move stick on this occasion. Somehow we've just about got enough grip in the tyres to last us around the outside, and we're going to hold off Pierre Gasly for the time being in his Alpine. And well, we're going to be boxing come the end of this lap, so we will be coming into the pit lane, going to be strapping on a set of hard compound tyres to the end of the race, and I am pretty optimistic that we'll be able to make an undercut on at least a few of these guys. We should come out quite comfortably ahead of the likes of Gasly and Ocon, and hopefully we'll be able to undercut people like Lawson and Magnussen and the guys that we were sort of close to in and around where we were before the pit stop phase as well. But we will see how things shake out now as we come onto lap 13. We exit the pit lane and we're going to see what our pace looks like in clear air on these hard compound tyres. Make our way towards the end of lap 15 now. We've pushed very hard. There's quite a few cars coming through the pit lane. Ocon is one of them, and you can see that we are going to come out quite comfortably ahead of the French driver in the French car, and we are going to make our way up into P18 for the time being. I don't know what our net position is. Hopefully somewhere in the points by the time all of these guys have boxed, but I don't know if I quite have the pace to get myself into the points today. Seems like the car is not firing on all cylinders around this track, but we will see what happens regarding that. Liam Lawson is still very much ahead of us, as is Max Verstappen as well. He of course had that blinding start, and he seems to have rode it all the way to the bank so far. So yeah, Liam Lawson, we haven't undercut him, but we'll see whether we can undercut some of the other drivers here, as Hauger is coming into the pit lane now, and he's definitely going to be a little bit ahead of us. You know, the likes of Doohan and others have pitted as well. Meanwhile, if you look on the minimap there, you can see that in front of Norris and Doohan, there is a Aston Martin, and that is Max Verstappen, who has taken the lead of his home Grand Prix. So a remarkable turnaround from Verstappen to get from P12 to the lead of the race, and we'll see if he can hold on for victory here or not. But yeah, that is Oscar Piastri retiring from the race. He becomes the first retirement, and we'll see if that causes a safety car or anything. Don't think it has. Meanwhile, his teammate Kevin Magnussen coming into the pit lane. Are we going to be ahead of him as he exits the pits? It seems like we just about are. And that is a solid pit stop strategy from myself on this occasion. Ocon's managed to get ahead of him as well. We've broken away from DRS for them for the time being. But as we get to the end of lap 21, you can see Kevin Magnussen is going to go for a move up the inside on me. He's a long way ahead, but can we fire it back round the outside of him, as we have done on many occasions so far? It seems like we've managed to just about hold on to this for now. We've already been on these these hards for 10 laps, don't forget, whilst Magnussen has only been on his for about 3 or 4 laps. So Magnussen definitely is going to have the superior strategy, and we're going to have to work very, very hard to keep him behind. We try and send it back around the outside once again at turn 1, but this time Magnussen has the superior grip, has the superior exit from the corner, and we have fallen back down to P12. So I think points might be a distant memory for us here today, unfortunately, and looks like Lando Norris is going to try and close that gap quite significantly. He's retaken the lead of the race, as Ocon now goes for the overtake on me as well. We're going to try and see if we can hold it around the outside of him, but once again we just get onto the tyre marbles, and that ruins any chance we have of making it. So the leading pack at the moment is Lando Norris, followed by the Aston Martin of Max Verstappen, and then Jack Doohan in P3, and he's followed up by oh my god, I'm getting overtaken by 2 cars at the same time. Hulkenberg and Gasly both overtaking me, one on the inside, one on the outside, and we are down into P15. And things are going from bad to worse for us right now, as we just can't seem to catch a break, quite frankly, it seems like. But yes, it is Albon just behind Doohan, and then one of the Ferraris rounding out the top 5 as we make our way into the last 10 laps or so. Enzo Fittipaldi, my other former teammate, I've been overtaken by most of them so far, and it seems like Enzo Fittipaldi might just be the next in a long line of former teammates of mine who is going to overtake me in this race. But we've actually managed to hold him off just about. Hulkenberg and Gasly making contact there. We almost smash into the back of Nico Hulkenberg there, as we weren't expecting him to be going that slowly, and I think maybe he got damage from that, because now he's going fairly slowly, and we were able to slowly catch, and on lap 31, as we make our way into turn 1, we're going to dive around the outside of Nico Hulkenberg and make our way up into P14. What a move, what a position we find ourselves in now, the lofty heights of P14. It's, everyone has to have a stinker every now and again, and honestly, I'm glad I'm having one when I'm 41 points ahead in the championship, because I think if I was 30 points down in the championship and having this kind of situation happen to me, it would be enough to make me rage quit. So yeah, we're looking okay in the championship. Even if we're not scoring points today, we won't lose the lead no matter what happens, even though Lando Norris is very comfortably out in front. I believe Doohan and Verstappen are battling tooth and nail over P2. And yeah, we're looking at Pierre Gasly now in front of us, and seeing if we can try and catch him. We're staying with him quite nicely, but will we have the pace to hold on to him? We will see as we make our way around the final corner on lap 35 into the final lap of the Grand Prix. Can we make an overtake on Pierre Gasly? We still weren't close enough in the DRS zone on this occasion. You can see I'm practically in his gearbox right now. It's ridiculous, but no avail as far as overtakes are concerned so far. There's not really another conventional overtaking spot. There are, of course, DRS zones between here and the finish, but with the dirty air, with the worn-out tyres, obviously Gasly is on slightly younger tyres than myself. Not sure what the exact differential is, but I think it's about 5 or 6 laps if I had to guess. You know, he will have a bit more pace through the tight technical sector 2 compared to myself, as Lando Norris wins the Grand Prix. Not sure if he got fastest lap or not. We will see whether that is the case. I don't know who ended up getting P2 there, but we will find out in just a second. But we are going to see if we can close down Pierre Gasly towards the end of the race. Through this DRS zone, still not close enough. I'm going to absolutely send it through this chicane, and we're right on his tail. Can we get him through the final DRS zone? I am burning battery basically everywhere that makes sense, but we've not had the best of runs through the penultimate corner, and as we enter the final corner, we're going to be 4 tenths down on him. Surely this is not possible to make up through the final DRS zone, and you would be right. And we have to settle for P14 as we almost go into the back of Pierre Gasly there. What a disappointing race for us, but unfortunately we just couldn't get going. From qualifying, even then, we didn't look like we were on the pace, and Max Verstappen gets driver of the day in his hometown, which I'm sure he'll be very happy with.
A difficult race then on a circuit that demands complete concentration, but they've persevered to take the win here today. Natalie, fill us in. What was it that helped the team achieve their success today?
Well, confidence breeds confidence. Success breeds success. They are very much enjoying a purple patch right now.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take top spot. A well-earned victory for Mercedes.
Lando Norris, he's finally made a return to form after a very long time. Max Verstappen has a sensational P2 finish in his home race after starting 12th. But my biggest talking point is Jack Doohan, after 15 races with the team, finally ends up on the podium. I am very pleased for him, and maybe this is going to be the start of a really strong run of form for the Australian driver. We'll have to wait and see if that rings true in Monza.
So let's have a quick look at how the drivers' standings have changed. The gap at the top of the championship has been cut down after a difficult race for our championship leader. Let's focus on driver of the day, Natalie Pinkham. Come on, who do you pick?
I think for driver of the day, I'd probably pick Lando Norris. He lived up to every inch of his reputation today, and I think he'll be going home, quite rightly, a bit proud of himself.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. Mercedes continue to extend their lead.
Meanwhile, good work from Aston Martin this weekend, who pushed themselves further up the order.
After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time? Be sure to join us again as we continue to bring you the latest excitement in Formula One.
So Lando Norris has made up quite a significant margin in the Drivers' Championship. I think he's closed it to about 15 or 16 points now. And not only that, but Mercedes once again have opened up quite a significant gap in the Constructors' Championship, which with only a few races left to go, we are going to have to work very hard to bring that one back down. But yeah, we're reaching the business end of this season now. There's only, 8 races left to go after this one, if I'm not mistaken. It's going to be Monza, then Japan, then Qatar, then there's no Texas, so it'll be Mexico, Brazil, Portugal, Vegas, Abu Dhabi, I think is the final races in the calendar. You know, I think honestly, at the rate these races are going, I think there's a very good chance that this could be another championship that goes down to the wire. You know, people often ask me. I say often. I've had this question a few times at least in my comments, and you know, people have tagged me in stuff, and they've asked me, how is it that you and all the other F1 YouTubers always seem to get a championship battle that goes down to the wire? And you know, do you have any advice? And my genuine answer to that question is no, because I do not do it on purpose. I swear. I promise you. You know, you can say what you like about other YouTubers on this platform, who, you know, there may be an element of scripting and you know, simulation as far as the results of their races are concerned to make their narratives more interesting. But I promise you, on my end, I do not script these videos at all. There is no element of scripting. This is the genuine, authentic result. I sit here for an hour and a half to 2 hours, every day. I record the video, and then I edit it and I narrate it, and that's literally all I do. There's no there's no I need to think about how entertaining this is going to be for the championship or anything like that. But it just so happens that pretty much every championship I end up in always goes down to the wire. Every fight always goes down to the final race. So it'll be interesting to see if that happens again here this season. And now, if I've said that and it doesn't happen, I was telling the truth. So yeah, we will see how things unfold for the remainder of the season, but I am very optimistic. I am also slightly nervous at the same time, though, and in large part that is due to the fact that this was race number 15 without a mechanical failure this season now. I really strongly suspect that the championship may be decided on whether we have a mechanical failure or not. Because keep in mind, I'm pretty sure Norris hasn't had one this season either. And so surely at some point, one of us is going to be victim to that. I think Doohan's had them. I think Albon has had them. So right now, both me and Norris are just getting very lucky. And we will see whether they play a role in the championship fight later on in the business end of this season. But that is going to be it for this video. So if you enjoyed, please make sure you like and subscribe. And hopefully I will see you in the next one.